We're at the wall to break down the shock result from La Liga. Real Madrid losing at Osasuna. Let's speak to a man who was commentating on the game, Phil Kitromilides. Phil, great to see you. You called it yesterday. You said this was going to be a difficult one for Real, didn't you?
Yeah, because Osasuna away is traditionally a very, very difficult game, particularly for Real Madrid, because the crowd is super hostile there. They absolutely hate Real Madrid. But the big teams do not like going to El Sadar. Last season, Barcelona lost here, Atletico Madrid lost here, and Real Madrid drew 1-1. And today, Osasuna were the better side. They deservedly got something out of this game. A late winner right at the death, but brilliantly taken from Raúl García. And once again, here we are talking about another Real Madrid performance, which was insipid, lacked intensity. They lost too many duels. They looked devoid of any kind of energy, no real ideas, no real game plan. And it was basically try and get the ball to Vinicius and see if he can do something magic, which he tried his best, but the rest of the team didn't do much at all. So a really poor performance from Real Madrid. By the way, I said it's a tough place to go. This is actually the first win for Osasuna against Real Madrid in 15 years. So they haven't actually beaten Real Madrid since 2011. They tend to make life uncomfortable for them, but Real Madrid tend to come through it. Not today.
Yeah, Phil, when I look at the lineups, when I look at both teams, I mean, I thought that Álvaro Arbeloa definitely was favoring that Champions League matchup. We were talking about how would he go about it, given the emotional impact of what happened in Lisbon with Benfica. But when you look on the pitch, what specifically went wrong? Because I think of that back line, and I just thought not good enough on the day.
So he changed 3 of the back 4. Obviously, Dean Howson was out injured, but he decided to rest Antonio Rudiger and rest Trent Alexander-Arnold. And who played at right back? Dani Carvajal for his first league start in 5 months. And who was Dani Carvajal up against? He was up against Victor Muñoz, who is the second fastest player in La Liga, an absolute bullet down that left flank. And he caused Carvajal all sorts of problems. And you could tell this is a mismatch. This is a real mismatch. 34-year-old Dani Carvajal, who's one of the best right backs of all time, but he's coming back from injury. He has barely played this season. It's his first start for 5 months. And you put him up against this kid. Victor Muñoz ran rings around him. And you could even see at half-time, I half expected Carvajal to be hooked at half-time. He stayed on the pitch till the 65th minute, but that was a clear position where Real Madrid weren't strong enough. I thought David Alaba was really weak in quite a lot of the duels as well. And defensively is where Real Madrid have actually been pretty strong. You know, their problems haven't necessarily been at the back. Their problems have been in the final third in terms of creation, where, again, they were lacking this afternoon. But I thought defensively they were far too weak today.
Phil, to paraphrase Arbeloa speaking after the game in his interview, he said it wasn't a killer blow in terms of the title race. It certainly isn't. There's still obviously plenty of water left under the bridge between now and the end of the season between them and Barcelona. But he did say that a lot of the issues that were there under Xabi Alonso, he feels are still there for him now. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I mean, you know, Real Madrid are not a great team. They are not a great team. They are a side that have brilliant individual players who can win you games with their brilliant individual performances. But as a team playing together, this isn't a great team. And I think we've seen it for large parts of the season. It's true, they were on a run of 8 consecutive victories in La Liga. 3 of those came with Xabi Alonso at the helm. Not a lot of those games have been overly convincing, but this is their run of results recently. They played, decent in some of those games, deeply unconvincing in other of those games, but they've been getting the job done. But today they didn't, because they couldn't keep it tight at the back, which is what has been getting them over the line. So it's not a definitive blow, obviously not, but Barcelona are almost certainly going to win tomorrow against Levante. They've never lost at home to Levante. They've never not won at home to Levante, so it would be historic if they didn't win. And they'll go back top of the table, and emotionally, it will just feel like the pendulum has swung Barcelona's way. But there are still, I think, 42 points up for grabs. It's either 39 or 42. I'm not very good at math, but there are loads of points still up for grabs. It's obviously not over, but in terms of the feelings of playing as a team, have they turned a corner? Have they got a clearer idea of what they want to do? I just don't see it under Álvaro Arbeloa.
Phil, we got to talk about the other elephant in the room. You know, that Ante Budimir, he gets him behind. It was a clear chance for him, but I saw that it could be splitting hairs. Was that a penalty for you, or am I making too much of a clear call?
What did you think? Did you think it was a penalty?
I thought it wasn't a penalty, in my opinion. Look, we live in an age of VAR where, I mean, to call a play and a foul where a goalkeeper steps on a fraction of a player's boots, what the hell are we doing in football anymore?
I think there's contact, there's definite contact. And again, as in so many penalties and so many decisions, if you slow it and just put a freeze frame and show the contact, then it looks worse than it actually is. Ante Bodir is a very big, strong, forceful player. I don't think there was enough contact for him to go down in the way that he did. That said, it was contact. When the referee was told to go and look at it, it was always going to be given. And let's call it how it is. These penalties have been given a lot this season. Against Real Madrid today, for Real Madrid in other games. So I don't think that should have been a penalty, but these are penalties that have been given this season.
Phil,
in Spanish, they call it a penaltito, a little penalty. Yeah.
You learn a new word every day when we've got Phil Kitromilides on the line. Thanks very much for joining us. Great insight as always, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with Barcelona in their game. Can they return the favour against Real Madrid? To continue the conversation, we mentioned it at the top there, one of the first couple of questions to Phil, was about that sort of hangover from what happened in the Champions League against Benfica. You know, they did win the game, but ultimately there was a lot of mental energy expended with what happened in that incident with Vinny in the aftermath, the days between then and the game as well. Surely that must have played into the performance today.
Yeah, look, it's been a very emotional week. We've talked about it ad nauseum about why, right? It's no easy thing to go through the roller coasters of emotions when one of your players gets that sort of experience like Vinny Jr. did. But this is where I question the lack of leadership in this Madrid locker room. Dani Carvajal, we're talking about a player who has been an excellent service to the club, but he might be playing one of his last games for Real Madrid, given what we saw. He's never been the same player since his knee injury and just looked like he was just all over the place today, Adam. And then the domino effect. It took about 65 minutes for this Real Madrid side to wake up. They were second best in just about every single department, and that's where you need players to will the team forward. There's only two players that I thought really, maybe even three, that really stood up to the test today. Aurelien Tchouameni, he came to play. Fede Valverde, especially in the assist he had, superhuman effort given the amount of output he gave in Lisbon. And Vinny Jr. looked to be the only threat going forward in the attack. Every other player lacked personality, lacked aggression, lacked ambition, and almost looked like they didn't realize the opportunity at hand playing against Osasuna.
Do you think from the Barcelona perspective of the title race, they feel like this is a team for the taking? Because other than Vinny Jr. and Mbappe, as you and Phil have said, none of the rest of them are really performing like a title-winning side.
Yeah, look, Barcelona has opened the door so many times this season. I think injuries are the only reason why there's still a title race in La Liga. If Barcelona could stay fit, this league would be done and dusted, in my opinion, because they're a way better football team. They have way better players who step up to the occasion. This will be a moment that we'll look back long in the weeks to come where Real Madrid may have just lost the La Liga title. I know there's tons of games to come, but you can't have performances like this. You can't gift away points like this, and it's a massive opportunity missed. Take nothing away from Osasuna. I thought they were brilliant, and it's been 23 matches. They'd gone 22 matches prior without getting a result against Real Madrid in La Liga. So it meant more to them. You could see in the celebrations, you could see in the second effort, you could see winning second balls and how everyone in that stadium celebrated. But the biggest thing for me, Adam, when I look at players who didn't perform today, it's this man right here, Kylian Mbappe. I thought he was very poor in front of goal, and that's been a theme since he's come back from injury. He was poor in Lisbon in terms of finishing in the final third against Benfica, was very poor today, and I question Alvaro Arbeloa why he didn't have the guts to take him off, because the game changed when he made subs. And the biggest mistake he made for me was he took Fede Valverde off right after he got the assist. And as soon as he did that, Real Madrid, they look done and dusted, and the momentum completely changed.
Just one more quickly on Osasuna. Do you think this is the first of maybe a few of these kind of results for Real Madrid from now until the end of the season? Teams like Osasuna will have looked at this as a blueprint. If you really get at Real Madrid and you hope that Mbappe doesn't score or has an off game, you can get a result. It's out there for you.
Yeah, look, I think there's something about the way Real Madrid have been slipping up throughout the season, not getting results. Vinny Jr. today looked to be the talisman, and under Alvaro Arbeloa, he's looked to be the guy. He looks to be back. I can't say the same for Kylian Mbappe. I think that he might be still carrying that knee injury or a little bit of fatigue right there. He doesn't look to be fully fit. But when you have two players that score you all the goals, who's going to get your goals? Who's going to be the difference maker for this Madrid side? Maybe if Trent would have started today, maybe he makes a difference in the final third, but you can't risk Trent Alexander-Arnold getting another injury, right? So this Madrid side clearly aren't deep enough, and I think ultimately, if they want to push on multiple fronts in the Champions League, the deeper they go in the Champions League, the more it's going to impact their La Liga performances. It did today, and I don't think we're done seeing Real Madrid lose or drop points in Spanish football.